Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. So as you've seen from the title, I'm going to be sharing with you my top crease-proof eyeshadow tips, and honestly these are life-changing. Unfortunately I did plan for this to be a talk-through tutorial, as you can see, but my audio didn't record, so we're doing a voiceover instead. So tip number one is to make sure that you have no oil at all on your lids. So you want to make sure that you clean your lid space before applying any makeup. I love to go in with the Garnier Micellar water. It's an oil-free makeup remover, but you can use any kind of cleansing product you want as long as there's no oil. As we know, oil is what breaks down makeup, so it would obviously make sense that if oil comes through on your lids throughout the day, that it's obviously going to cause creasing and break down the eyeshadow that you've popped on there. Tip number two is a simple but really important one, and I've kind of combined two tips into one within this. So you want to make sure that you prime and set whatever you're popping on your lid as your base. If you find that your lids get particularly oily throughout the day, perhaps you want to go for an oil-free eyeshadow primer, or just any eyeshadow primer that you absolutely love. I personally like to use the Nars Soft Matte Complete Concealer. And for me, it's a bit of a multi-purpose product, so I'm using it to carve out my brows. I also use it to spot conceal on my face. It's really nice and full coverage, but I do also use it as my eyeshadow base, and it works really well for me, I think, because although it's a cream product, it's not really liquidy. It has a matte finish, and it just works really well. I mean, look how beautifully that has blanked out my lid space. You could use a damp sponge or any kind of dense packing brush. This brush is from a set from Iconic London, and I got it years ago, so I'm afraid I don't know the name, but just use any kind of dense brush that will work for you. And then we want to go in and set with some translucent powder. Now don't be shy with the powder. I love using the Profilt'r setting powder from Fenty Beauty, but you use whatever powder works for you. Now we're almost replicating what we do on our face. If we want our base makeup to last for ages, we want to make sure that we set that with a good amount of translucent powder, or even bake. Now I wouldn't recommend baking your eyelids because you really don't need to, but it's the same kind of principle. Tip number three, I think, is a really underrated one, and that is to layer your products. So I love to layer with either a melted shadow like I'm doing currently. So I'm using the Huda Beauty melted shadow in Cashmere Robe, and this one actually does dry down matte, which is lovely, but you can use a kind of gel color, you can use an eyeshadow pencil, you can use a cream eyeshadow, and you pop this down almost as your base, as your liquid base, and then you go on top and layer with a powder eyeshadow. Now this doesn't only just increase the longevity of your makeup and make it more intense and more pigmented, but it also stops creasing, because effectively we're almost doing what we did with the base. So you're popping that liquid or cream product and then going over with the eyeshadow powder. It's just like, it's such a good tip. So I'm going to do this with the melted shadow because it's so easy. They dry down matte anyway. Then the eyeshadow palette that I'm going to be using is the Carli Bybel Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, which is so pretty. I'm going to take the shade Char first, and then also the shade Bowie. And this leads me into my last tip. So tip number four is to make sure that you pack and blend. So I first pack on the colour to make sure that I get it nice and pigmented, and that I'm setting all of that. I mean, if it was a cream base, you'd obviously need to set it with the eyeshadow. So make sure that you use a denser brush, pack that on, and by packing it, I mean just pat, literally pick up a good amount of the eyeshadow, packed onto the lid or onto the crease or wherever it is that you want to place the shadow, and then go in with your blending brush and blend out. You can pick up some extra product on your blending brush if you want to, but you really don't need to. But you will need to go back and forth a little bit just to build up the intensity to what you like, because whenever you blend out, you obviously lose some of that pigmentation. But by doing this, you're actually putting enough product on your lids to make sure that, one, it lasts, and two, it doesn't crease. I think sometimes part of the problem is that people actually are too afraid to put a lot of product on, and I promise you it's not going to look crazy. Just take it little bit by bit, pack a little bit on, blend it out, and then you will just have the eyeshadow of your dreams. So to finish off, I'm just adding a little bit of highlight to the inner corner because I think this just makes any eyeshadow look pop. And then I'm just adding a little bit of lip liner and lipstick. I'm using the STUNNA lip paint from Fenty Beauty in the shade Unattached, and oh my god, is this not like the most gorgeous spring pinky Valentine's just yummy shade? Like, I'm just going to be wearing this all the time. It's a really lovely bright coral. But that is it for this tutorial. I know it's really quick, and I really hope you enjoyed the tips and found them useful. It wasn't the video I'd planned, but we move and we make it work. If you did enjoy the video and you found it helpful, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. And apart from that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.